the start of the new year. A time we think about all the changes we want to make, prepare to achieve them the next day, then look in the mirror and say to ourselves, this year will be better. As we set our sights on who we want to be by the end of the year, we forget to take time and appreciate how much we've grown over the previous one. Which is why at the end of the year, I like to remind myself of the ups and downs of the previous year, along with all the lessons that I've learned from it all. And I do this through what's called an annual review, which is where at the end of the year, I write down my answers to these 3 questions. What went well this year? What didn't go so well this year? And what did you learn? I find that it's simple enough to keep up with every year, as I've been doing since 2019. And I also find that it's a really effective way to reflect on the year as a whole. I copied this from James Clear, who is the author of Atomic Habits, which is pretty much the go-to book for anyone wanting to build better habits this year or for any time in your life. I really like that the first question asks you to reflect on all the good that's happened, as it's something that's very easy to skip over and forget as your new year ambitions tend to take the spotlight. At first, it felt weird to be summarizing all the good fortune that's happened to me over the past year, as it just felt like I was bragging. But I remembered I'm the only person who's gonna read them, and it's just a way for me to remind myself about the progress I've been making toward the more fulfilling areas in my life. The second question is necessary, so you don't just have a list of things that you can self-indulge in. By being honest with yourself and asking what didn't go so well this year, the next question that comes to my mind is, what could I have done better? I find that it's always important to remind yourself that no matter how much you achieve, there's always going to be an opportunity to do and be better next time. And the last question seems to be the most important of all. What did you learn? Whether we succeed or fail in our efforts, it doesn't really matter if we learn nothing along the way. No matter what happens, there's always a lesson to be learned. And then it just becomes a matter of whether you're paying attention to them or not. For my next annual review, I'm going to be basing more of my perceptions on what went well and what didn't through more quantifiable measures, such as tracking how many hours I spent doing creative work and how many strength sessions I was able to do throughout the year. Much like how James Clear does in his own annual reviews. And that's what I really like about the annual review. It's a system to reflect on the actions you've taken, the progress you've made, and the things you've experienced to remind yourself who you're striving to be. As someone who dwells a lot in the past, I find that the biggest benefit for me is knowing I'll be making the most of this year by reflecting on the last, carrying the lessons I've learned to move forward into the new year with a sense of clarity on the changes I'm willing to make and the standards I'm willing to uphold. I'll have a link in the description below to all of my annual reviews so you can have a read if you want to start your own or if you're just curious to see my answers throughout the years. Leave a comment if you have your own system for reflecting on the previous year or for setting goals in the new one. I'd love to hear from you guys down below.